Welcome to the Peaceville Days podcast series, in collaboration with Life is a Hideous Thing, the official Dave Pybus podcast. Peaceville Records, a label that started in 1987 and remains fearlessly independent to this day, one which has never been afraid to take risks and do things differently. Its core mission? To always challenge and push the boundaries musically. I worked there from July 1990 to October 1993, been involved with some of the label's most influential signings. This episode of the Peaceville Days podcast series features
Darkthrone.
I'd like to welcome Ted to the Peaceville Days podcast series, episode 4.
That's a long time, Dave.
Well, I was trying to remember earlier how long.
I think it had to be like 91, 92, maybe.
I can't actually remember, if I'm honest.
Oh, so it's like 5 years ago.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fine, thanks. It's very well. I mean, depends on what people expect their 40s to be like, but for me, it's absolutely brilliant.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
I don't know how to formally start, and I always do this because I'm just doing it kind of like it's like a conversation. I'm not like an interview guy.
Oh, that's nice. I like conversations, and you can just slip into the things you want to do. Yeah, something like that.
I'm obviously not going to call you Nocturno Culto because I never did.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that.
I knew you guys before that actually happened, so...
Yeah. I did actually, the last 10 years, I did several attempts on actually get rid of the stage name and do something else. I can have another stage name, but I always get voted down by everybody, so I just have to stick with it and... pretend it's not there, but or something.
And I just did Thomas from At the Gates like 2 weeks ago.
Nice one.
We were talking about, obviously, he was involved with designing the Darkthrone logo from the start.
Yeah.
And then I realized that I'd designed their logo that they were using as a backdrop on the tour.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the office days, like using a little typewriter and then photocopying it until it all fucked up.
It was actually a very nice time, and Peaceville actually had an office, and all the employees and managing everything themselves.
Yep.
But I guess time just does that. But the working relations we have with Peaceville and Snapper is, it's excellent, and I can not even begin to tell you how pleased we are to I mean we feel really lucky. We've been really lucky up in all these years actually with labels and people to work with. It's just brilliant.
When we signed you guys for like around the demo days, we got the Cromlech demo.
Yeah.
Who did the cover for that? I can't remember.
I can't remember that either, actually.
Okay, because it's so old.
Yeah. I just can't remember it, actually.
It's all right. It's not important.
Yeah.
But I remember we got one in the office that was actually, I think, addressed to Hammy, like the photo. Because we used to do this back in the day with demos, is you could alter them and then just put a cassette in there, and you could change the artwork. And we got one in. I remember there was one in the office that actually was like it said recorded for Peaceville.
That's right.
There was only like a couple of songs on there, which was really back in the day. And I was going to ask, like, because when we commissioned the first album, I think Hammy knew Duncan Fregredo, the cover artist, because he lived quite close to us. I never met him. I guess from the demo to then having that first album cover, you guys, I mean, you were very young. I were 17, 18 years old.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we were pretty much 18. I think we had one 17-year-old in the band, and but we were young, and this is what, like, with so much dedication we had to play music. This, of course, it's like a dream getting signed and actually releasing a record. And I remember receiving Soulside Journey as CD first in the mail, and back then there wasn't any. You couldn't burn your own CDs, so when you put on the CD in the CD player and it says track 1, and that's your track. I thought, this is my track. This is our track. Nobody can take that track from us, but that's different. Yeah.
Do you still feel like that now when you get new albums out?
Well, only on the vinyl, of course, because today those tracks I saw as a track on the CD player is just a file. Yeah, it's a file today, and everybody has files. Definitely not as cool, but I get this, of course, the same vibe I get always from vinyls. It's real.
I think you've been in a lucky position where virtually, I'm sure all of your back catalogue has been on vinyl.
Yeah, I think for us, it's just, I think we just take that for granted,
Yeah.
Spoiled maybe, I don't know, but there's obviously for metal and rock music, there's always people want to have physical formats, and so I guess it's always the vinyl will stick around and the physical format will stick around for many, many years. I know the people predict otherwise, but I disagree.
Do you have any of those old white labels, like the test pressings?
I think I donated a couple of them to a record store in Oslo. That is the coolest record stores in Oslo.
Because I think I've got a couple. I can't find them, but I don't ever remember giving them away.
Yeah.
This is years later, when I think 94, when the office was kind of closing down, and I'd already left late 93, and Hammy called me and said, I've got to get rid of this vinyl somehow. You're going to have to come and take it. And
exactly.
I think I picked up a few pieces then, but I don't know, it's eventually over years got smaller and smaller because the original pressings, I guess, worth a lot of money now. Back in the day, I guess you give it to friends as presents, and
sure,
you go to crazy parties and play them and then lose them, and
yeah, exactly. And for me it's always very I mean, I'm not a record collector. I buy vinyl and I listen to them, so for me it's just consumption. But when I see the prices for some vinyls, it's people are fucking crazy. But if you are into it, you are into it. So everybody has their thing,
I remember there was a time when you came over to England. We went, it might have been Halifax, and we went to a few vinyl stores. You were buying I remember you were buying loads of really weird albums, like electro albums, 70s, prog. I don't know. I didn't even understand what it was when you seem to know very well what you were buying, and I was like,
Yeah. I remember. I think I also picked up the Dream Death album when I was in UK. Yeah, maybe that was Halifax. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you still have all those records?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not all of them, but I have the Dream Death album definitely. But over the years, fortunately, there's been a lot of drinking and losing stuff, and so I feel like a bird that has been shot down and trying to rise again, so something. Yeah. I don't know.
Come on, Ted.
Yeah, sure.
You'll be fine.
Well, definitely when it comes to my vinyl collection, definitely.
And it was a very special time for me because I'd never been exposed to like making records before, and obviously I was now surrounded by very new bands and lots of vinyl, and CD was kind of new for us too because we were pressing the records onto CD, and that was kind of a big deal for us at the office.
Yeah.
I think CDs were kind of new, like 1990. I don't think Autopsy's Severed Survival we had on CD. It was like, wow, we never thought it'd go on CD.
No, and that's 1990. That's like 10 years after the CD player was came on the market. So it's it took a long time for a lot of bands to appear on CD actually, and I remember Bathory was one of them. I think their CDs didn't came out. It was way in the 90s, I think, and unfortunately it sucked because they had remastered the whole thing, so it didn't sound so good. But I have the vinyls anyway, so.
Me too. I got a friend of mine gave me the vinyls that were signed by Quorthon.
Oh, nice.
And I've never played them. I won't play them now because obviously he's dead. So
Yep.
I won't play them. I just don't think it's right. I don't know why it's weird.
No.
It's like a time that's gone, and I don't want to upset myself by going back.
Yeah. Well, everybody should take care of the vinyls. I mean, it's like a living product.
And I think it's around that time when you sort of said, it must have been when A Blaze in the Northern Sky was out. You called the office and said, I'm moving far away to the woods and I'm not going to be around much.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean the woods?
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
the whole, I mean, Norway is basically woods, so I moved away. I didn't know actually where to. I was just hopping on a bus to a place I heard of, and it felt like I was going north of Oslo, and I found out it was like northeast of Oslo, on the border to Sweden. Actually, it's like a 3 hours drive back then. Fortunately, we are very few people, so we have a lot of space. But even in the city I live in now, it's around this area it lives like maybe a bit more than 100,000 people, and for me that's a lot of people. But if you drive like 10 minutes, you're in the countryside anyway. So
I think you must have been 92 when you visited England.
Yeah.
And which was really cool actually, because we felt very kind of disconnected from you guys, because one, you weren't touring, and we only kind of spoke to you when you were on the phone.
Yeah.
And obviously you were then saying, I'm going into the, I'm getting out of Oslo, I don't want to be around all these people. And then we managed to persuade you to come to England for a small visit.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the distinct funny memories I have, not funny, but it was kind of weird for me at the time, was you insisted on buying a bottle of Jack Daniels every day.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Do you remember? You don't remember that because you drank...
well, when you say that, yeah, that's it comes back to me now, yeah.
But I remember like saying why, because it's quite expensive, and you were like, no, it's very cheap.
Yeah, it's cheap, yeah.
And I was like,
yeah.
You don't have to drink a bottle of Jack every day on principle that it's like half price.
Oh well, it's compared to the prices we have in Norway, definitely cheap in England.
So, but I remember in the office, I think it was, I don't know, middle of 91. And this is after the first album, Soulside Journey, had been kind of successful for us. And we, at the label, were like having ideas for like, getting you guys to come over and tour with Autopsy, I think.
Yeah.
And even those guys were starting to reject the position. I think one day we got this kind of big envelope, it's like an A4 envelope with, there was just a picture on the outside of you guys. It was you and Gilvy and Ivor.
Yeah.
It was I think from the rehearsal rooms in corpse paint. On the outside of the envelope, it was stuck on the outside. And obviously when I got it in the mail, because I used to go get the mail from the box, so I saw it first. I didn't open it, I just looked at this package from you guys, and it had this image on the outside. And I was like, I've never seen you guys wearing corpse paint before. What's going on here? And then obviously Amy opened it up, and there was this letter with a cassette of I think it was like a Blaze.
Yeah, it was probably the album. I can't remember that we sent any rehearsal tapes or demos on the second album. No. So it probably was the master tapes.
Yeah, and so we obviously listened to it and we were like, oh my god, because it was such a big contrast from the first album's kind of death metal to this now very stark, crazy music, and I loved that. I mean, at the time we were confused, I must admit, and it was very like special time. And I think there was an instruction for me inside there in pen saying these are the 3 next album covers all in the same package. It was crazy. I've never had that before.
Yep. And
there was a slide with the artwork. It was just like the first 3 covers in black and white, and we didn't really realize what was going on until we just took you guys' word for it. For us, we were like kind of, I don't know, it was a fun time. I remember it being very cool.
Yeah, it was really interesting because when we started out, we were just young guys with an interest in metal music, and of course when we started, when I joined the band, they've released one demo, and they had their way, but I was doing songwriting with those guys when I joined the band, and it was a natural development to do we're young. We want to be really good at our instrument, of course, and liking to push each other and making cool music. And so I don't know. Death metal was like, it was bound to be like that, almost. It was the direction it took anyway. So, but I remember after the first album, we worked on Goat Lord, and that was a lot of work because it was a lot of things going on in the music and like really progressive.
I used to have the cassette of that without the vocals, obviously.
Yeah.
And I used to listen to it in the office like every day because it was, I don't know, we thought that was the natural progression from Soulside Journey to A Blaze in Northern Sky, and
yeah, it was.
And it never came out. It was just disappeared. And
yeah, we released it in '96 as an album. But the thing is that one day we were just listening to primitive music, like Motorhead, Black Sabbath, Bathory, stuff like that, and a lot of other things that is much more primitive. So I think I got this feeling of, why are we painting ourselves into this corner, with a lot of things, we want. It was like, it must be a much more freer kind of experience to see the long lines in the music.
Gylfi's drumming in particular was more closer to like someone like Neil Peart on Goat Lord than it was, and obviously on The Blaze in Northern Sky I could feel that influence still. We were still like playing in a very expressive way, and obviously the later albums that would all disappeared and it became very linear and sort of a different atmosphere, and like Under a Funeral Moon, I've listened to it recently and it's still for me like a pretty musical. It wasn't until Transylvanian Hunger and afterwards that you guys became really cold.
Just getting colder and colder for each year.
Yeah, and I couldn't believe how you guys managed to pull it off.
No. I think Under a Funeral Moon is a result of us trying to get really rid of the old stuff. I mean, we had all the time in the world, and we were just a three-piece, and we were destined to make the blackest black metal album ever released. That was our actual goal, I think, because now we actually have the chance. We are onto something now. Let's make it real.
I think you guys said something very interesting. A Blaze in Northern Sky was like recorded very fast.
Yeah.
I think it was like recorded something like 3-4 days and then mixed in like a couple of days. So it was like a week. It was really fast. And then you guys called up for the next album and said, we want 2 weeks of studio time. And we're like, all right, so it's going to sound better then. And he went, no, we're going to make it worse.
Yeah.
We were like...
Yeah, and I don't think we used 2 weeks on that album either. It was just 1 week.
To give it that bleak sound was something that you had to achieve, and it obviously was very effective.
Yeah, and both we were in the same studio for both A Blaze in Northern Sky and Under Funeral Moon, but we had different engineers on both of those albums. And the engineer on A Blaze in the Northern Sky, it was a guy called Eric. He was really, I mean, both of them were very, very professional, but they were very different in how to approach this kind of music. And the guy doing A Blaze in Northern Sky, he was very concerned about not doing anything. You can't have too much of this because you will ruin the whatever. But when you listen to A Blaze in Northern Sky, it's a very, very well balanced album. The sound, and but of course the floor tom didn't get the the blasting sound we really wanted it to be on A Blaze. Probably for the best. I mean, that album turned out like a really balanced, great album. But when it comes to Under Funeral Moon, this guy was completely different. I mean, he came in with like he kind of looked like a laid back, like Jesus or something. He had really like a wide, fluffy pants and something like that. And he had like sandals, flip flops or whatever. And he came in, we were really happy and a nice guy. And when we started to work with him, we understood that he was thinking completely different. I mean, he was like, okay, you want more of this, and how much do you want? And he was like going over the top, so we have to calm him down. It's like he was completely different.
It was a very effective record.
Yeah, it was. I can't really remember what equipment we used back then, but I mean, I was obviously playing bass on that album, and it's actually, I mean, Under Full Moon is also our one album with just one guitar track.
I found it was very effective with the drums, with the floor tom being very deep.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminded me of something like in, not Lord of the Rings, but like in Moria, where they were explaining the dynamic of like the deep sound underneath the earth.
Yeah.
You get used to this sound for like 3-4 minutes, and then you don't hear any like bass, and then suddenly this sound drops. And it was like very effective. It was kind of scary, especially if you were listening to it at the time. You'd never heard anything like it before. And you were in the dark, checking out like the sonics of the album, and it's like, oh my god, it's kind of scary.
Yeah, and I think that it was what we were looking for as well, that people should have this soul-freezing kind of experience listening to that album, and
I think it was very effective. It did it.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
It scared me to death. I thought the floor tom going off was someone breaking in the house.
Yeah.
Because it was very different, like stark sound in the background. It was like really, really cool.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So and then going back onto the album for Transylvanian Hunger, the artwork, I was just about leaving the label at the time, and I remember getting a phone call from someone in the office asking where the cover slide was, because they were having a problem finding it, and it was getting to like the time when you guys needed to put the record out. And I had no idea what I'd left, like maybe a few months before, so I don't know where the slides were. And I think when I saw the finished album cover, I was kind of disappointed, because obviously I'd worked with the two other covers and it was very like black and white, and then this one looked different. It looked wrong to me. And I only found out recently that the story goes that the slide was lost, and then you guys had to use a photocopy of it that someone had.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was so heartbroken. I was like, oh, how the fuck? They fucked the cover up. And not you guys.
Right.
Not you guys, but...
No, there's a lot of coincidences, I think, when it comes to Darkthrone anyway.
Yeah.
Both in the recording perspective and...
the way it was presented.
Yeah. It's important for us to let the band live its own life, if you understand. It's like we have definitely some ground rules, and one of those rules is not using a metronome in studio, and also, I mean, after 2005, when we got our own recording equipment again, our own studio, we are recording drums and one guitar live.
Wow, no one does that now.
No one does that now, and it's because for us, I think it's important that people, when they listen to our records, you can actually hear it's people enjoy playing, and they're actually people playing this.
Yeah.
It's not that we are thinking we have to do it this way, but it's the way we feel it's natural for us to do with this band. So
it must be a godsend just being two of you.
Oh yeah,
because obviously being in a band with 6 people was a nightmare.
I can't really imagine how that will be. I mean, we have a very, very easy time, of course, because playing together for so long leaves us with this thing. I mean, we understand each other's way of thinking music and playing music, so we don't really run into any unnecessary problems with the music, and we
I think it's like old football players when they say that the team gels and everybody knows what they're going to do, because they play together a lot, so you kind of know everybody's tricks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know your moves. You know you're not going to be able to run too fast or whatever, so you don't kick the ball too far forward for them.
Yeah, exactly. For me, that it sounds like a nightmare, but
yeah.
But of course, we don't tour. I mean, so we don't ever had that kind of problems anyway. So.
Do you regret not ever touring?
No. I don't regret it, and it's like I really, really seriously doubt we will ever play live, because then we have to use a whole year, just to prepare for live. Because if we should prepare for it, we will of course play several shows in 18 months, and using so much time to entertain people on the stage. I don't know. Yeah, and I won't do that because I miss out on the other things I usually do in the summer and in the winter, and I'm a guy that likes my routines and my quietness, and I think also playing live now will of course means, I mean, it will be like big business,
Yeah.
And big business equals pressure, and I don't like pressure.
No.
And I know Gylve don't like pressure either, and we have to enjoy what we are doing, otherwise we can just don't play,
Yeah, of course.
So we're trying to keep this as healthy as possible, because making the albums and making the music, that's what's important to us, and that's what we want to leave behind, and not some kind of a epic stage show, it's not for us. It's for other people. I mean, other people, go ahead, but for us, I don't think so.
I think you guys are very, very lucky in that respect.
Yeah, I think so.
Stick to your guns, man.
I think we are going to do that, and it's for our own mental health situation, and suddenly, I mean, I can get really easily bored with myself as a person,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if I am to expose myself for what, I mean, who am I, I like to play music, and I like the quiet lifestyle. I can understand rock and roll, but I think we never were any. Well, maybe we had a little rock and roll kind of personality period in our life. I mean, everybody has it, but I think the people I knew back in the days playing in other bands, and myself and everybody I knew, was like coming from another kind of place, where we try to see ourselves as I don't know, Northern Kings. I don't know. Fuck it. No. I don't know what to say, but you get my.
I do. I totally understand you. And another shocking thing for us in the office was we got the phone call that you guys had decided that you weren't ever going to tour. You said we're not playing live anymore, and you guys are still very young, so we thought that was natural. But then you called the office and said, no, we've hit posers, hit people, we're not going on tour. So I was then left with this conversation on the phone. I put the phone down, and I was like, well, they're not going to lose anything by me booking a tour in England for like 5 days, get it all in the press, Darkthrone are going to go on tour, and then cancel it, and then put out a press release of just what you just said, which is basically everybody's posers, we hate everyone, we're not going to tour ever. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
But it got in the press that you guys had said exactly what you said.
Yeah.
And I said to Hammy, like, it doesn't make any difference because they're not going to come anyway.
Oh.
They haven't hurt anything because they've already said they're not coming. All you've done is given you guys like a really cool position, the fact that you've just called everybody posers.
Yeah, it's funny, because as you say, I mean, being so young, you should think that it's very natural for us to, of course, we want to exploit this new kind of opportunity we got, But it wasn't like that. Obviously, we didn't like traveling back then either, so.
I was very lucky with that because obviously it could have blown up in my face.
Yeah.
Quite badly, but I think the promoter knew. He knew that it was just like, nah, this is never going to happen. But I don't think I've ever told anybody that.
I haven't really thought about all those
old
things, for many years. And,
there was another thing that I did that I might have originally been a mistake. And on A Blazing Northern Sky, I put the date 1991.
Yeah.
And obviously you guys recorded it in 91 and it was released in February 92.
Yeah.
So it should have said technically 92. But I was very young with the artwork and maybe I fucked it up there. But in reality, in my heart, I didn't want to change it because the album was recorded in 91 and that's when you guys were trying to make the statement as fast as possible.
Yeah.
It didn't want to come out in 92.
Yeah, I mean, this has always been confusing to me as well, actually. I mean, Soulside Journey came out in
1990.
Yeah, 1990, yeah, something like that. Yeah, okay.
Possibly.
Yeah, possibly. I have no idea actually, because all those release years has been like, there's been a lot of disagreeing, and I think when you say it was actually released in February '92, it makes more sense for me because I I've been in a lot of positions when I had to think about when was this album actually released, you know.
So it was a mistake.
Yeah.
All right, so Soulside Journey was released in January 91, so this was maybe a year later.
Yeah.
But you guys were, being very fast with the change. So fast that we only found out from this letter. We didn't even really realize what was going on until we got this package with the artwork and the master tapes. I think you guys were obviously waiting to get it all together to basically pull that trick on us.
Yeah.
So we couldn't maybe make a big deal out of it. But yeah, I think it was a mistake with the 91 thing.
It's funny that the picture of us were outside the package, and it's probably to give you guys to give you guys a heads up what's going to happen.
I think that they were from the rehearsal room. I don't think they were very cool pictures actually. I don't think they were used on any of the records because obviously I was having to build the back of the covers with the pictures you sent me, and I wish I could do it all again now because obviously being a graphic designer you can see mistakes and could have done it better, and I never done anything like that before. And then I told this to Chris from Autopsy. I changed the color of the disc of the CD.
Yeah.
And I think A Blazing on the Sky was the first one was white.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I called the guy in the factory and said, okay, when it gets to 2000, change it to black.
Yeah.
And he was like, why? I was like, well, I don't know, just want to do it.
Yeah.
And I guess that made the first pressing very rare. I just wanted it to be different,
Yeah, that's right. I actually saw that first edition of my A Blaze CD with white CD. Yeah. I saw it when I just moved now, and it's nice to see it again.
That for me personally was another mistake because you guys were trying to be as dark as possible, so the disc should have been black.
Well, we thought that was really great because white is like for here in Norway definitely it's like a cold color, like snow or something.
Yeah.
When we look outside and we see all the pines with a lot of snow on it.
I think when I obviously changed it to black, I was thinking, right, I finally corrected the mistake.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been white in the first place because it looked kind of white.
Yeah.
And you're a black metal band. I kind of lost touch with you guys after I'd left the label, and I realized that Transylvanian cover was for me like wrong. I kind of lost track with you guys' career then, and you guys were putting out a lot of records for a while. Really fast.
Yeah, we did. We were very effective. Whenever we think about Darkthrone, we are actually doing something productive, like making music. So, and since we don't play, we can release a lot of records, but we actually had a natural break now for a couple of years due to whatever. I think we were kind of exhausted with the underground resistance because it actually peaked somehow in that. So I think what we are about to do now is different again. So.
And you've got a new CD coming out, which is part of the vinyl you just did. What's it called? Black Death and Beyond?
Yeah, that's right.
And that's coming out on CD?
Yeah, it looks really nice.
That looked like a lot of work.
Yeah, we worked in, I think it took like a year or something at least to share stories with the writer, to meet him, of course, in Oslo, and spending some time with him, and of course all the design work. And we of course had the choice to, how much of your personal life are you going to reveal now, like personal information or whatever.
Well, thanks for your time, Ted.
Yeah, sure. It's nice. It's always this was kind of interesting. I've been forced to think about
a few different things, yeah.
And nice talking to you, Dave. And
cheers, man.
If it's something, stay in touch, okay?
Bye.